So I promised you a little bit of a video about movement and how movement relates to not just good agility, but good running contacts. Dylan and I took Jelly and the puppy down to the arena and had a little bit of play around to see what we could create for you. So just looking at the dogs moving around the arena naturally, as you can see, they move each limb individually, and this is a really important point. I want you to practice watching these limbs move individually but within the sequence of the movement. So comparing that lovely relaxed individual limb movement with this is very, very extreme jumping. However, I think it gives you a really good demonstration about why we're trying to train out that rear leg engagement when we're starting to look at our running contacts. When we look at running contacts, we want the dogs to run through the plank and we don't want any jumping. And the way that we see jumping, or the way that we describe seeing jumping, is this rear leg engagement. And you can see here, not only does she push with her back legs, sometimes she does also push with her front legs. So training out this rear leg engagement is really, really important. We want our dogs to run flat to the ground with that individual limb movement, even as they go up through the gears and start moving faster. A little bit of puppy bouncing for you too. We then transferred Bouncy Jelly to forward moving Bouncy Jelly, and you can actually see separation. However, you can see how she is still pushing through those legs and propelling herself up into the air. These next ones were taken totally by accident. Dylan was trying to get individual limb movement and slow her down. However, what we notice in here is why we want that head down, forward driven position. You'll see every time Dylan lifts her head up to get towards the treat, the bum comes down and those rear legs come into play again. Coming up, you'll see why we use Jelly for this video and not one of the collies. Spaniels are one of the breeds that manage to run with separation but still be looking bouncy and springy, and it's quite important that with these sorts of breeds we work really hard on their running technique. You can see just how much her rear legs are pushing with every step. And with Smooth here, you can see why it's so important that we don't start training anything to do with mat work before our dogs are old enough and also physically able to move properly. Quite often, if you're training running contacts with myself or Ewan, you might find that we tell you to go back a step and slow everything down, and you can see in these videos why we're doing that. By going back a step and by going that little bit slower, you're encouraging and jackpotting this individual limb movement that you can see both Jelly and Smooth demonstrating here. Spending this time with this slower movement also gives you that opportunity to get your eye in, so that when we come on to the faster movement, you're able to see exactly what it is that we're looking for. We're looking for a smooth, natural movement. We're looking for a level top line. We're looking for each limb moving independently within the sequence. And we're looking to see that only one paw lifts at a time. So let's take a look at how that transfers onto our mat work. Especially with the Spaniels, I spend a lot of time at these foundation stages looking for that individual limb movement. You can see there, even as Jelly comes off the mat, she engages those back legs and pushes. And then there's one very definite push off the mat. Even though you can see separation, look for that two legs leaving the mat at the same time. That's what we're trying to get rid of. We're really trying to home in on that one paw lifting off the floor at a time. Quite often in these early stages, slower is better, not only for the dog, but also so that you know what it is that you're rewarding. And then moving on to adding a little bit more speed. Not all of these hits are ideal, but they give you a really good range of movement, and they also demonstrate just how tricky it is to get your eye in to be able to see the hit quick enough to mark it. And this is exactly why we were talking about practicing watching movement, because when you come to training your dog for your running dog walk, you're really going to need to know what it is that you're looking for and what it is that you're rewarding.